Hey everyone, it's Jared Gold. The following interview was actually never meant to be released to the public. About 2 years ago, I started a journey to interview the world's most successful people on the deepest ideologies behind their success, not the obvious or trite advice of work hard and set goals or things like that, but digging way deeper to understand their internal operating system and even just their fundamental beliefs about what reality is. The intent with these interviews was to turn them into a single consolidated book. For those familiar with Think and Grow Rich, which was actually written in 1937 and is still a timeless book in my opinion, and countless super successful people really recommend it, my aim was to write a more modern day and actionable version of that, to really understand kind of a spiritual science of success, if you will, to uncover it and to curate it. And the tentative title of the book was The Unseen Forces. And so that's why you'll hear that phrase in some of the upcoming interviews here. The reason I'm releasing these interviews now is because I gave myself a time limit of about 2 years to write this book. It doesn't mean the book isn't being written, but I'm pausing it for now to reevaluate. Maybe this information is meant to be conveyed in a way that's different from a book, maybe a way that's bigger and better suited for the information. Who knows? But I've been sitting on these amazing interviews and I really want to get them out there. One important note about the interviews is that it's not like a podcast in the sense of these are hyper-researched specific questions to the interviewees themselves. And there are no pleasantries. I had to resist the pleasantries, and my tone is not warm or inviting or anything like that because I just wanted to make the best use of time that we had on our meeting. These were just recorded on Zoom. So anyways, I really hope you enjoy it, and I welcome any and all feedback. I plan to put these interviews online in a variety of different ways, but to learn more about me, just go to my website, jaredgold, JaredGold.com. I'm really open to all different types of collaboration as well outside of this book. And I feel like one of my main gifts is in interviewing and curating and uncovering what is unseen and unsaid in a variety of different ways. So yeah, check me out. Thanks. I'm excited to introduce my next guest here, and that's David Meltzer. And he has a pretty wild story where he was previously the CEO of the Leigh Steinberg sports agency, and that agency was very famous. In the movie Jerry Maguire, that movie was based off of that agency, essentially. It was modeled after that. He ended up building up a net worth of $100 million and actually went bankrupt in 2008 with the real estate crisis. And then he built it all the way back up. And so he's a really successful author and entrepreneur. He runs his agency, Sports One Marketing, and he delivers keynotes all across the world with some of the biggest speakers that there are. He also has a very popular podcast and show on Apple TV. I actually had the privilege of, I used to live in Austin, and I saw him and his team were coming for South by Southwest, and so I volunteered to help him out any way I could, and I was basically kind of their, driver, running little errands here and there for the weekend that they were in town. And so that was a really cool experience, being with Dave and his team during that weekend. I didn't care that I was their driver and kind of errand boy over that time. It didn't matter. It was just fun to be in the arena with them. Dave's philosophy is really, really unique, and that's what stood out about him to me. You have a guy 1 minute that's talking about best practices in sales and closing deals, and another minute he's talking about the laws of the universe and gratitude and abundance and the energy of money. I love how he merges business and spirituality really effortlessly and authentically, and in a way that feels actionable and grounded. My favorite part about Dave's philosophy is around abundance and living in a world of more than enough for everyone. That we are essentially vessels designed for giving and receiving, and so we should optimize to give as much as possible, as freely as possible, from a perspective of our gifts and our skills and our talents, and give it away freely. Not necessarily for free, but give it away as much as possible. And then when we kind of empty our vessels from giving, then we allow ourselves to receive as much as possible. And It's this critical two-way flow. I think some of these ideas around abundance and giving away freely and generosity and thinking about money as this energy, as this currency, I find to be really profound. I love Dave's progressive 4 laws of the universe and his daily practices and all these different types of things. I'm really excited to let you all listen into this. Let's get into it.
You've said that you live in the favor of the universe. How does one give control to the universe and truly surrender and build that trust that the universe will provide exactly what one needs at the perfect time in the perfect way, even if things are looking dire?
I love the question. So first, it's with the foundation of faith. You need to believe, regardless of your religion, spirituality, or emotional aspects that you grew up with, you need to believe that there's something bigger than you, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves you more than your mom. And if you can believe, regardless of all those other variables, that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, you then can effectuate the 3 laws that allow you to live in a world of more than enough, of everything for everyone. And the first rule is the law of gravity. Once you believe that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom loves you, you can understand that you must be at the right place at the perfect time, that pain, setbacks, failures, all of these different void, shortages, and obstacles are simply protecting you with pain, promoting you, not punishing you. In the only way you can have this perspective is to believe in something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, just as if when you were reaching out to touch a hot stove and your mom slapped your hand when you were 3 and you cried and said, "Why are you punishing me?" And she hugged you and told you, "I'm not punishing you, I'm protecting you." That is what happens with faith in the law of gravity, that I must be at the right place at the perfect time. If you believe in those 2 things, that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, and you believe in the law of gravity, that you must be at the right place at the perfect time, then you can institute the law of Goya. The law of Goya, Goya, states that get off your ass, that you must be what you can be, that you must enjoy, and I repeat, enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your potential, your truth, not what other people want for you, not what's missing, what you don't want, but what you want personally, experientially, giving and receiving wise, to determine who you can help and who can help you, to determine how best, efficiently, effectively, with statistical success, you can get it done, to prioritize in order to apply your why. See, if you believe that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, and the law of gravity, that you're at the right place at the perfect time at all times, and you institute the law of Goya, getting off your ass, enjoying what you must be, the journey of consistent, persistent pursuit, then you're able to effectuate the law of attraction, the law of allowance, the law of assumption. Through this process of attracting what you want and learning from it, you have to intertwine the relativity of time and pragmatic usage of time. Because if you're living in a world of more than enough, of everything for everyone, and you have this faith and these laws in place, you're going to be overwhelmed with the amount of options and opportunities that you have, knowing especially that all that you encounter, all the people, places, and things that you encounter that are connected to and through this source, this faith that you have, has light in it, has love in it, and have lessons in it. You must institute time. You need to be able to prioritize that time by saying, is this time worth spending on this person, place, or thing? Because in the hierarchy of whether it feeds me or bleeds me, I will get the most out of it so I can give the most from it and through me to it. The biggest misuse of time, the time that exists between problems and solution, or interval of time that exists between cause and effect, attaching our emotions, our energy emotions into the process, the journey, the cause, instead of the outcome. The only outcome that we utilize is a milestone of a trajectory of where we want to go day by day, not attaching some sort of outcome where I'll be happy when I graduate. I'll be happy if I get that job. I'll be happy when or if I find my dream girl. But instead, I'm going to do all that I can do in order to effectuate what I want today, not being afraid to change my mind. So when you ask this question of how we get to that place of purpose, and our thoughts about our purpose, the purpose of forgiveness and peace, they're derived from these four things: faith that there's something bigger than you that loves you more than your mom, the law of gravity that determines you must be at the right place at the perfect time, the law of Goya that creates a bigger vessel of acceleration, growth, compound interest in order to effectuate the law of allowance, the law of assumption or attraction that fills back up that bigger void so that it can come through you for others.
I know that you believe everything comes through you and you think of yourself as a vessel, and you aim to empty your vessel as much as possible so that it can be refilled. So firstly, what does it mean to empty our vessel? And how does one empty their vessel in the right way that it makes us feel open to receive and being refilled quickly, as opposed to feeling like we're pouring from an empty cup?
So far, you may have had my two favorite questions of all interviews. So thank you for asking this. And the number one step is appreciation. When we understand that we have to first appreciate what we have, the art of appreciation is a value add art. It's not a zero sum art, a value add art. When we appreciate something, it adds value. So when we add value, we expand, we grow, we accelerate, which is symbiotic and synergistic to what the universe does, growing, accelerating, and making more room by appreciating. The second step is acknowledgement. Whether or not we expand our vessel or have a vessel, if we can't acknowledge it, acquire the knowledge of it, acknowledge, then it's meaningless and purposeless to appreciate. So appreciation only takes effect in the course of acknowledgement, acquiring the knowledge of what we have by giving it away, by losing it, by having it stolen from us, manipulated from us. If we appreciate things, then acknowledge, acquire the knowledge of it, then the vessel is empty. The larger expanded vessel is empty. And now the third step, ask, wish, dream. These are all ways of filling up our empty vessel from appreciation and acknowledgement. The step that most people miss is not appreciating what they have. It's not acknowledging what they have. People love to be gracious. They love to give things away, but most people are afraid of asking. They live in a zero-sum world where they feel that if they receive, somebody else is going to have to lose. If they win, somebody else loses. We don't live in that universe. We live in an abundant universe, a more than enough, a value add universe where when you give, you add value to the universe. And when you receive, you add value to the universe. So a three-step process in order to grow your vessel by appreciation, acknowledge it by giving it away, emptying the larger space, and then asking for more, killing off the limitations, which is the purpose of your journey through forgiveness and peace, to kill off all limitations between you and the abundant, all-knowing, omniscient, all-powerful source, making you an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing resource.
On the topic of abundance, I'm going to shift into money. When most of us think of abundance, we think of money. What is money to you, and what are your core views on it, and how do you recommend that people view it?
So money is an energy. It's a currency. Money is not something to go get. It's an object of energy that you put into the flow. And so that energy cannot buy happiness or love, but what that energy or currency allows you to do is shop. And if you shop for the right things, for the right reasons, you will be happy, peaceful, and joyous. If you shop for the right things, for the right reasons, you will be utilizing the currency to create a flow. You need to figure out what you're doing to interfere with you in that currency. You don't go chase money. Allow money to follow you by knowing it's already a part of your ecosystem, of this energetic, abundant world that you live in. If you took all the money in the world, it would redistribute itself to the same people if you dropped it into the middle of the desert. So what we need to pay attention to and give intention to with this currency are the coincidences with the reasons and the objects that we would like to put into the flow to give us that greatest expansion, joy, and happiness. When you realize that money is a currency and that you can shop with it and that there's more than enough of it for everyone, then you will keep killing off those limitations. You will make more money, help more people, and have more fun. Money does not buy love or happiness, but it sure will allow you to shop. If you shop for the right things, for the right reasons, it will make you happy.
How do you recommend that one embodies the energy of abundance, that there is more than enough always? How do people shift into that when perhaps they've never experienced anything of the sort?
Like anything else, you need to practice it. And we practice it utilizing time as the stable dependent variable. So we know that fear, scarcity will always exist. So we just want to identify when we're in that ego-based consciousness of scarcity or fear. We want to identify it so that we cannot resist it, but simply so we can stop, so that we can breathe through our nose, out through our mouth, get to center, get to peace, get to forgiveness, and roll in the right trajectory. We can utilize our identification of scarcity to spend less time in scarcity. Knowing that scarcity and fear will always be there, our objective should be to pursue our potential of not being in scarcity, to always being in abundance, having the realistic approach of I am going to practice so that I only spend minutes and moments in scarcity in the majority of my time in abundance, with faith that there's more than enough of everything, because there's something bigger than me that loves me more than my mom loves me, except for what difference between my mom and the source is abundant, omniscient, all-knowing, and all-powerful. And so therefore, there's more than enough of everything for everyone. And I want to spend the majority of my time in that mindset, not in the interference. I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. What am I doing to interfere with it?
You say that, happiness comes from enjoying the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of your potential. So how does one truly identify and know his or her highest potential and embody that feeling that it really is their destiny to go for it?
So many people are looking for one answer, and we're on a daily journey. And so the best piece of advice from my perspective is to every day have 5 daily practices. The idea of the daily practices is that I want to know, according to my midterm and long-term objectives today, the milestones that I want to traject or project towards. These can change every day, but each day I'm going to set forth what I want midterm and long-term in my life. And then I'm going to determine what I need personally, experientially, giving and receiving wise to put myself into that trajectory. I'm going to need to know who I'm going to help with what I want and who can help me. I'm going to need to know how to utilize my time with the lenses of productivity. How accessible do I need to be to others? And how am I accessing or receiving what I want and gratitude? If I know my what, my who, and my how, according to the trajectory of mid and long-term objectives just for that day, I now can easily prioritize my time by what's important to me, not what's missing, what I don't want, or what other people want from me, but what's important to me. And if I know my what, my who, my how, and my now, I then can apply my why by identifying the fear, stopping when I identifying it, breathing and dropping to neutral, and rolling back into the trajectory that I set forth at the beginning of the day. This process, these 5 daily practices, will allow you to live in abundance, to experience abundance, to make more money, help more people, and have more fun. If you utilize it daily and allow it to compound on itself, aggregate on itself, knowing that the rule of 72 not only applies to finance as compound interest does, but it also applies to behaviors. The best thing you can do is not only make mistakes, but not misuse the time between mistakes and solutions, but utilize it in the effect of finding those lessons, knowing that the interval between cause and effect and problems and solutions are the greatest efficiencies that we can have in our life. Utilize these 5 daily practices. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll be happy to send them to you.
And I actually had a follow-up question to the previous topic on money is, you often speak about going bankrupt in 2009 after accumulating $100 million net worth. And you weren't worried because you shifted your vibration at that point. So you knew you'd earn it all back, and you did. So my question is, what's your advice for people who are struggling financially in that scarcity mindset that haven't reached a significant level of wealth and haven't built that amazing network to accrue that wealth in the first place, in terms of shifting their energy and taking action while trusting it will work out?
It's really simple. It's a piece of advice that I would give myself when I was 14, 24, 34, 44, and now at 54. Ask for help. Find someone that sits in the situation that you want to be, that carries the frequency, the vibration that you want to have. Remember, your temperature is created by that frequency or vibration. You'll take on, just like cold and hot will take on its own equilibrium. Allow your equilibrium to rise up to those people that you surround yourself with. So find people that sit in the position that you want to be in and ask them for help. The fastest way to get to where you want to be, whether it's with economics or athletics or education, whatever it may be, skills, knowledge, or desire, find someone that sits in the situation that you want to be in and ask them for directions.
I want to imagine what it's like being in your reality and what is going on through your head moment to moment in everyday life. Like, what are your most persistent thoughts, and how are you perceiving the world around you as you're interacting with it?
For me, it's that enjoyment of a consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, dictated by 4 values: gratitude, which gives me my perspective. I'm consistently trying to find light, love, and lessons and determine whether it's worth my time or not to find those light, love, and lessons. 2, my purpose of empathy or forgiveness, to live at peace, which is the purposeful side of gratitude. And then, of course, accountability. I'm consistently looking and identifying, what am I doing to attract this to myself, and what am I supposed to learn from it, which leads me to the 4th thing, which is effective communication. What am I doing to clear the interference between me and my potential? What am I doing every day to be inspired in spirit, to use my intuition and intellect in order to figure out, looking within and giving meaning through gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration to everything that I see, utilizing the connectivity with the faith that I talk about, the law of gratitude, Goya, and attraction, in order to effectuate a rapid and accurate manifestation of what I want, to provide and empower others to be happy, to teach others, to empower others, to elevate others, to make more money, help more people, and have more fun, to create abundance, not just for me, but to allow it to come through me, adding more value, living in a value add, not a zero-sum game, to give to others.
How do you recommend that one brings a spiritual dimension to their work, especially because work is rarely innately spiritual, and even bringing it into the mundane? Like, how do you merge those?
Well, first of all, I don't look at it as work, right? You're given 24 hours of activity. And so when you look at your 24 hours that you're gifted every day as activity, in every activity comes energy and motion. In every activity is a spiritual essence, a relativity to it that is beyond what our pragmatic world allows for or provides for. And so this reconciliation of activity from the pragmatic man-made time, space, and quantities into the spirit of relativity, a connectedness that has no time. So when we look at things in the 24 hours a day of activity versus infinite time, we have to reconcile the two by looking at that which is most aligned in both realms, and determine how much pragmatic time are we going to spend on that activity, and trying to utilize that time through efficient, effective, and statistical successful productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. By utilizing these different things, we can actually bend time, because it's not necessarily the actual time that we're spending comparatively to the relative time that we're utilizing. And this reconciliation between pragmatic and spiritual, between quantitative and infinite, it allows us to live in both realms. But what it really allows us to do is to enjoy the consistent, everyday, persistent, without quit pursuit of our best self, our potential.
What are the biggest common misconceptions or lies or falsehoods around how the universe or spirituality as a whole works?
I think the biggest misconception is that we live in a zero-sum game, that there's some sort of trade or negotiation going on, that when you receive, somebody else's loses. When you win, somebody else's loses. I see the W and L column as L for learning. W means that you've executed on what you've already learned. So there's more value in the L column than the W column, but I live in a value add game. And it's all a faith-based game that I live in, one of more than enough of everything, one where when I give, I add value, when I receive, I add value, that there's more than enough, and infinity is my pursuit, infinity is my objective. Remember, if you had infinite patience, for example, then you would have everything instantaneously. Utilize that perspective, utilize gratitude, utilize forgiveness, accountability, and inspiration in order to effectuate that enjoyment of your pursuit. Remember, there is no pursuit of happiness. Happiness is the pursuit.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening or watching. I'm going to be putting these interviews out in a few different areas. And wherever you find it, wherever is easiest, please like, share, subscribe, comment, etc. I welcome any and all of your feedback, or feel free to reach out to me directly on my website at jaredgold.com, jaredgold.com, whether you might want to collaborate on an interview or me hosting a show, or if you look through my past work experience and my skills, seeing other ways we can collaborate. I'd love to hear it. Thanks so much, and looking forward to sharing more of these interviews.